Well, I hope you're all having a great Friday night. I'd like to warmly welcome you to the Free Enterprise flagship channel for a race here this evening in the Zemus Zone 5 Blue Moon Waning bracket between the Bardic Panda and Lenophis. We've got a Sid start, we've got a bunch of bosses to fight, and I'm joined in the booth by Deathlike. How you doing tonight, Deathlike?
Doing well. Sir, it's a good night to have a blue moon, and seeing the Sid start excites me. You have at least a decent tank. You have your anchor for set and ready. Might be doing some work on the overworld, and I'm excited for some of this bosses, especially DKC, completely required in this flag set. Well, not at least this seed.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the 8. The runners have to defeat 7 out of those 8 to earn the crystal and allow them to fight final boss. But they have quite a long path ahead of them. But like you said, Sid, yeah, I'm always happy to see a Sid start. Sure, there's higher powered characters, but he's very solid, and that transition where he can go from your useful character to your perfect anchor, given the right gear and situation, to me is always pretty desirable.
Yeah, I think some of the other interesting bosses on the docket, a bunch of summons, Jura and Bahamut. Jura being a mage, probably maybe get some early rune X. That might be helpful. Hopefully, and I see another mage on as well. Pair mages in the form of Baron guards. So there'll be some use for a rune X if that shows up early. Maybe and elements. Ruby form is also a mage, so should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, rune X. I'm sure both runners wouldn't mind seeing that early for their Sid, and we'll see if they end up with anyone else who can swing the gear like that. Yeah, I'm looking at the boss list. There's quite a few that if you get them in the right spot, they're not too bad. Bahamut, kind of known to be free, and we saw those guards. DKC's not in a hard-hitting spot. Also, kind of a freebie. We'll see where they end up as we get going, and Sid is joined by a white mage. It's Porum.
Is this even? We've already started with vanilla. How do we go from here? Asuka with the seed rolling tonight, and we'll see how much vanilla will come out tonight. With a Porum start, barring any other white mages showing up, this is certainly a good place to start. Don't have to worry about finding another white mage and exit caster until maybe Rosa showing up and maybe a Zot trip. But there's always this is a solid group to start with.
And we've got one runner going south, one going north. They're both going to get a chance to see on Lenophis' side 2 characters, one with the panda and probably some looting here. So let's see who shows up in Cydia. We've got a bard.
And a punch mage.
And a punch mage. And a monk.
Plus Kane in the watery pass. So some interesting berserker options. Although right now Spoon needs to be coming soon, or the bard is the first to go. So but there's still plenty of time for the Spoon to show up. And there's the free key item pickup at Troya to hope for a Spoon to drop.
Yeah, that would probably make the runner's eyes go a bit wide if the Edward in the bed hands the upright Edward the spoon right away. They would definitely start thinking about how to best utilize that very powerful bard. But both of them are leaving their first location. We'll see where they go next. We'll see if the divergence continues or if they merge somewhere else. Looks like Lenophis at least wants to check the character here early on Ordeals. And a trip to the Chocobo Forest. Anything good here?
I think I missed it. Probably.
I think I saw a samurai bow.
Oh, that's something. Both Sid and Porum can use it, so probably will get some use in this seed, at least at some point. Panda has going on a looting spree, taking advantage of both the front and back, and Lenos found an edge. This will be worth it.
Did I see what I think I saw on the backside of the watery pass there with Bardic Panda?
I probably missed it. Don't know.
Yep, chat. That was indeed an Avenger just hanging out back there to go with that cane that he just found. So that's a pretty strong early game start here.
And I saw just a heroine robe and a ninja robe. So seeing that Edge is in the seed, Panda will certainly enjoy the looting from this Damsian treasury. That it's an open spot, probably not rated as high as it's an open looting spot, but still the loot combined with the characters in this seed, certainly that they'll be sticking around. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is a pretty strong start equipment wise. We have a Black Mage Palom joining in the Damsian Castle, but even on the lower end, we've seen a Poison Axe for Sid to put that Samurai Bow somewhere else, plus the Avenger. We'll see if Lenophis makes the same trick to the back side of this Watery Pass looting area, because that would be pretty significant if Bardic Panda maintains that advantage for the early game.
Yeah, it's one of the things sometimes runners will do is do the back, just because the character that's kind of in the way, where Tala would normally spawn, kind of limits looting potential, especially if you don't want that character. So it's sometimes that backside is pretty concentrated in the back, and not gated by anything. So certainly worth the time to loot at this point.
Yeah, for now, though, Lenophis is skipping it and about to check the waterfall, as is Bardic Panda, and we're seeing Antlion. That almost looks... that is that French vanilla, because it's normally tentacles, but in this case, it's pincers. Sometimes when I see that, I momentarily think it's Octo.
Well, I mean, I don't mind vanilla squid, but isn't the line supposed to be on the moon? I guess I just decided to move next door. I guess that's the line plan for the day.
Yeah, maybe it's a quick shower to freshen up before the big trip to the moon for the next seed. But yeah, tonight in the waterfall and not required, so probably won't be going back there.
One Panda's looking for something in the shop. I did not see if there's anything purchased, but Troya being having 2 item shops instead of one. One of the things, as a randomizer, you want to take advantage of all the shops available to you, and having 2 item shops, gives you twice the chance of getting the item that you're looking for. But today, Edward wants you to go fast with the crystal ring.
Yeah. Speaking of items you're looking for, is that what you're looking for? I guess it's not progress, but an early crystal ring is a pretty strong defensive piece of gear, and like you said, that speed increase on the overworld will basically, this party is going to be unstoppable for all of the overworld checks, and we'll see what happens when they have to either go underground or to the moon.
Yeah, looks like Panda's going for the public treasury. Actually rated higher a little bit, not by much, but you still have an opportunity to get some decent loot. The actual treasure itself having better loot. Being T-Waldish will have great opportunity to get some good stuff. But for now, public treasury, it's better than average. By a slight bit, can be worth it, especially given this particular flag set.
Just saw Lenophis make the quick drop off of the hovercraft at the hook route location, because our starting vanilla boss Baigan handed the teams the hook, so that is going to be their path underground. We'll see what other checks they'd like to make before they even start to peek that area. But a bit of retracing of steps here, with Lenophis getting the free crystal ring that Eddie was cuddling up with in his recovery bed, and Bardic Panda doing some shopping, and now the character check in Mysidia.
Would you consider doing the Fate of Football? I mean, maybe not necessarily. I mean, we have the hook early. We'll still have to look. We still have to get the pan if we really want to truly fade it. But would you consider fading early? Early, at least once in a while in this flag set.
I haven't played a ton of Blue Moon Seeds. I guess I'm generally on the team of get everything done on the overworld. So team don't fade, team do it all. Unless it kind of gets handed to you, like you were saying, if you had the pan and you knew maybe the hook route was super simple and easy and quick, then maybe yes. But barring all that, I like to I'm more of a completionist.
Yeah, Panda makes the same loot on Mysidia. There's actually probably the closest one of all the Chocobo Forest. I mean, there's one near Bear. There's also one near Fabul. The Fabul one though is a slight, not a slight trek, although probably with the airship, when it's not too far away, though probably transitions might not be worth it in this. And the loot in the Chocobo Forests are actually tipped higher because it's kind of out of the way. So sometimes you might get some wild loot that's pretty good. And the Samurai Bow, when you can't actually acquire it this early, is really pretty strong.
It's funny, you were talking about the one by Fabul, and it took me a second. I'm like, yeah, there is one by Fabul. So that's probably my least visited one. There's that one on the island. I think once during a race, just kind of for fun, I went to the island one. But yeah, that one by Fabul, it seems close, but it is a little bit of a walk.
There's also one kind of northwest of Kaipo, but normally inaccessible, only accessible by airship. So it's a peculiar one. Looks like Bardic Panda is putting together an edge right now, and I think that's okay for now. Probably we'll be looking for a secondary weapon like a mute knife, full moon, at least part of hopefully from drops or from shopping, because the silver knife is probably I think the weakest dagger on the table, so probably we'll be ditching it and maybe using it as a thrown item once a new weapon is found.
Yeah, the good old inventory clear, and yeah, sure, it'll do some damage too. You're saying that's what Bardic has on the edge, because I was looking at Lenophis. Last time I saw it was maybe Longsword Thunderclaw on Lenophis's edge. We'll see if there's anything better anytime soon here.
Ruby is the first boss on Mount Ordeals. Won't be, not that threatening, although I think some characters will go down immediately. That's actually it's probably stronger than an average, considering the Mylon spot has at least some semblance of magic power. So this is actually going to take most of her starting characters down. I mean, Sid Edge have perfectly good HP, but the rest they haven't gained any levels yet, so they might be probably trying to avoid losing some XP on a boss that we need.
Yeah, there is a Rubicon down in the boss tracker down there, but that of course is Rubicon as part of the elements. But Lenophis has found a Sora and Antlion as Rubicon goes down on Bardic's side. So not obviously a pretty easy spot. Find a Sora. Gonna get any heals off here. He's not quite one-shotting, but a big bow shot from Eddie. I'm assuming there was some mute arrows with a samurai bow.
I think both were on the table. So yeah, any mute arrows being effective versus mages, kind of the perfect ammo that just to take down Azura. That's certainly an option that when you don't have the mute knife or Rune X available. So that it's probably easier to find considering it's being moved here. And he's on the other side.
Yeah, is this more like because it's backwards, back attack
Sure. But he doesn't do the count thing.
That is true. It's not quite Bahamut.
But that's at least since we got the hook early. The boss usually when we talk about the hook, finding the hook or finding the magma key, bosses that gate them, and Golbez cannot be one of them. The other two being Val or Blarg. So maybe there was something valuable here, but it definitely won't be the magma key, as that is completely kind of impossible. Because even if it's on the moon, it can't be on the moon because if you get the darkness crystal early.
Yeah, with that relatively new force hook flag, which is a lot of fun, forcing you, as it says, to take the hook route underground. There's no kind of backdooring into the magma key. We'll see if there's any other value here. Obviously, Golbez's value, one of the bosses. We'll see if they get another one in the third fight in Ordeals, and if the key item leads somewhere else. Lenophis is going to show us, are we about to have a third required boss on the overworld? which would be kind of generous for our runners. Let's see who's invading for Bull today.
Looks like Panda lost the 50-50 at least initially, but will still recover. I mean, Golbez is strong enough to defeat himself, but we'll need a little bit of help, and I think we'll try to get some XP, particularly on the Porum, who didn't gain any XP in the previous fight. So, definitely worth getting Porum online, given that this is kind of right now. It's right now leaning slightly a bit Berserker, but right now also a hybrid team. So. And Mylon being the other boss, not what we're looking for, but hey, he's a boss, and key items are certainly welcome this early in the match.
Yep, we saw that purple robe stole up to the doors of Fabul, but it was the wrong one. Looks like Palom got a knife kill. Golbez, of course, did most of the damage with the reflected spells off the Star Veil, and you just have to make sure you do at least 1 point of damage to Golbez once he's past his threshold. So that was done. A boss ticked off for Bardic Panda. So each runner now has 1 of the required 7 out of 8 that they have to find. And I would imagine there's a good chance that both will find the one that the other did before they head underground. We'll see. We'll see if Bardic goes in the same spots.
The key item at the Fabul defense was the Legend Sword. It's kind of like the ironic opposite. You get the Black Sword vanilla, and early darkness. Would you like a moon dive? That is probably not, but would be fun to see once in a while. But probably not going to happen in this race. And with a Pale Dim, not the boss what we're looking for, but should be pretty easy to take care of.
Yeah, like you said, maybe a moon dive right now, rare. But what do you think? Do you think both runners will at least check the moon shop? Do you think they are going to value perhaps seeing some high tiered items in the moon item shop, or will they head right underground?
I think even with an early moon, I don't like. We have free characters off. Like we can't. Not free characters. It's the other flag where we pick up characters. I don't remember the name of it, but we can't find a new character. So basically, the Lunar Dias, where Fu normally pick up Fu. There is no character pick up. You pick your character early. So, and the only value is a shop. So I'm kind of hard to do it, and also. There is no Tella, at least I don't think I've seen Tella, and Tella won't show up in the seat. So at this point, there is kind of very little value going up to the moon.
Yeah, I think you were probably referring to the C no earned flag, the character no earn spots, and that moon spot always trips me up when I'm thinking about it, because it feels like a fairly free character. All you have to do is stroll into the moon and you get a character, but of course you're earning it by finding the darkness crystal. But like you said, that's turned off for this flag set. We know our characters, and we'll see if either runner values chance at some items. But you may be right; they may just skip that. I think this is our first look at Miss Cave.
Yeah, we're gonna checks that we don't normally see. These we also don't need. So it's unfortunate. Unfortunately, it's a free boss. So it's all right. There are still more free bosses, but it's one of those free bosses that are not on the table anymore. So that's fine. Bardic Panda will take a look at Mount Hobbs. There's no free character. There will still be a boss here, so still worth checking. Probably. I mean, it's an open area, so not the worst of things. And hey, free boss.
The overworld keeps giving us characters. So now what? We're up to 3. 4 remaining to find. 5 still out there. We don't know about yet. And we do find the Dark Knight, not at the King Queen Evelyn spot on the hook route where he could be problematic, but here where he's going to be super easy. Bardic Panda will get to decide who stays up, who goes down. Looks like Kane taking a nap.
I think I know why this is done, but I think that's a mistake. Once Kane's already done his attack, he just kind of resets the dark wave counter effectively. So he just does more dark waves. So might as well just let Kane finish the job instead of taking out Kane. So this is going to be essentially more unnecessary punishment for his group.
Yep, some more waves coming out. Porum going down. Little Cure being thrown out. on Palom by Palom. And welcome Raiders from Free Enterprise 2. Hopefully you enjoyed your race. Please don't spoil it for us. This one just underway, less than 20 minutes in, but we have found 3 of the required bosses already. We see DKC on Bardic Panda side on the left. That is the Mount Hobbs, I believe. And then, of course, the back attack, Ordeals Golbez. And Lenophis also found a Sora down in Antline Cave, which I wouldn't be surprised to see Bardic go there pretty soon after this fight.
Yeah, so we're certainly can't really this time can't the old popular Fade Antline memes. Well, can't this seed. Sorry, that can't do that. This seed. So.
I mean, not unless you want to roll the dice that you find everyone but a Sora quicker. But yeah, you wouldn't want to skip out an easy one like that.
So Panda decides, hey, Kane, take a nap. I'm not sure if it's punishment for this. Kane does need the levels. So we'll see. Well, I don't think it's gonna hurt Panda in the moment, but those early levels, Kane does kind of need some help. Even when you see say Crystal Sword early on a level 1 Cecil, makes the most of it. A lot of Kane's weapons, they don't boost his strength, so he needs quite a bit of levels to get his multipliers. It's slow, strangely slower than Cecil in a way early on. When you consider that when on a Paladin and Cecil level 1, he gets a lot of levels quickly. Where Kane, while has a decent starting level, needs some help early on.
Yeah, but to catch up the Raiders, the Kane on Bardic Panda side at least has a little oomph behind him, because Bardic did find an Avenger on the backside of Watery Pass. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm still pretty sure Lenophis has not equalized that gear yet.
I think Panda's going to have a fair advantage. The Avenger, at least at this stage, will be significant. It's not quite Xcal Crystal Sword Burr level, but for the kind of power offered by that, it's kind of unmatched. And for Kane, when you don't have when you don't get a Dragoon Spear or White Spear Avenger, you're practically set outside of dealing with fights like Golbez where you don't have any control over. So there's just it's kind of it's power that the power difference will translate into time saved and a wider gap between Panda and Lenophis at this point.
Yeah, like I said, decent weapon, and then also just the automation, the fact that it just makes Kane swing, and you can worry about other things, you can do other things. If Kane needs a blink at some point to survive a fight, you don't have to worry about whether to berserk him first or not, so pretty handy. We'll see. Neither runner, again, if you're just joining us, I don't think has anything too fantastic for Edge Deathlike. You were pointing out the power of the Silver Dagger, I think, earlier. Maybe a long sword on Lenophis' side, so nothing too extraordinary for Edge. Do you think both runners found the Heron Robe? I think that is equal.
Yeah, that should help out Porum. Right now, I don't think this Berserker party really needs that much help. I think in terms of healing, you just need I think power overwhelming. Even if it's Porum, getting early turn casting Berserk is still a lot of value for Heron Robe. You don't need that much willpower to make Berserk work, although sometimes you'll have that tele-life moment.
Yeah, I think we're going to avoid that in this seed, though. We don't have the Tello. But yeah, maybe that if the Heron Robe's on, that might affect magic cast here or there, as Lenophis finds the Mad Ogres doing some extra looting here in Eblin, probably hoping for maybe one of those big edge weapons, or maybe also hoping for a big Kane weapon, just because again Lenophis does not have that Avenger.
Oh, that miss from Kane. Poison Axe, actually super effective against giants. The bigger problem right now, it's an early game. It doesn't have quite enough levels for the accuracy. The accuracy of that weapon is 69%, which is nice, but also lower than average. So that paired with some low multipliers early game, it's rare to see a weapon miss, but unfortunately, a Poison Axe, also Rune Axe, they have the same amount of accuracy. They they probably would benefit from being in the middle. Though at this point, let Edge do the work. Is usually makes the most sense early game.
Yeah, speaking of misses, I think Palm also missed a stop cast, unless I missed him, but I think he went to cast stop and it whiffed.
There is accuracy on a spell. You usually don't see it happen, but when you see it, it's like, when is the last time it's happened? And yeah, it's
Palm paid for it.
Yeah, I think the lack of hourglasses. I don't think either runner has found hourglasses. I mean, probably worth checking the Evelyn shop before coming here. Usually, I have seen runners do that, and then take kind of reap the rewards for doing so. And I think I haven't really paid attention to the key items, but Forge is looking very appealing once they get down in the underground.
It is Stardust Rod, not bad at all. We have Alan, who's definitely going to like that big boost to the wisdom stat. Get his. I don't think he's quite at. Maybe is he at virus yet? Definitely not a quake yet. Might just have gotten to virus, so that's gonna be a nice little boost to magic power. And yeah, if you're just tuning in, he knows now both runners do have both halves of Forge, and there are quite a few nice hits for the people on this team.
Yeah, just those are quick refreshers. Baigen is the starting boss in Baron, so very vanilla. We haven't found that much vanilla yet, but that is currently the only source and the only boss we do need to. We don't have to find though. But still, yeah, the skull fight it's kind of tricky. If Edge doesn't get off the flame, which he probably will, both monsters can inflict a status on each of our characters, so that can be pretty dangerous. And a Val.
Yeah, I'd be very happy that I have an Edge capable of darting right now, or maybe just being fast enough to take. Yeah, okay, there it is. Fast enough to take the swing, do the 400 damage by Val. Not required tonight, at least in her solo form. She is a part of the elements, and another fun boss not required tonight. Mom Bomb in the second spot in Baronin.
Yeah, when you, I've seen. I mean, obviously this is not an Edge start, but having Edge early, he just have to let him do the work early on. Just when you get Porum to Berserk, you just kind of feed Edge all the Berserk that comes. I think I just saw Avengers, so Leno has kind of equalized, assuming that will be put on Kane. Probably the first thing to do, anyways. And so
yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good to get the equalizer. You're hunting for gear. You don't have it yet. Bardic if Bardic ends up going there, probably a little disappointed to find a second Avenger, a decent dart, but not what you're looking for. So very good for Lenophis. Getting that Kane going.
Mom Bomb probably will be. I don't think Panda will get to the point to shave off the 10k in the sequence. Usually, when Mom Bomb goes in sequence, essentially Mom Bomb will be 10k or under in terms of HP. Like essentially, Mom Bomb has a kind of a secret, essentially a buff just for having explosion mode, which kind of it's easier to see late game that when you have nuke, when you have quake, you have at least more options to deal damage. But fortunately, Panda had enough to do that. And hey, it's a package. Would you consider checking the package?
I definitely always consider it. It's so exciting to make that hit, and so kind of deflating when it doesn't. So I'd be considering it. Would I do it this early? Might probably not. I still want to see who's down the hook route. I still want to get underground and find those bosses first. It's always tempting, though. It's always a fun little check to make when you're on a boss hunt. Do you want to go through, not the longest cutscene in the world, but certainly one of the more, one. It's not nothing. You got to wait, and then you wait for the enemy to walk down into the bedroom of the inn, and then you're either super stoked or pretty disappointed. But it looks like Bardic's doing it.
You're doing this before you go down. It's kind of like a convenience check, right? You just got it. mist isn't too far. And I know the sequence is long to a degree, and you might not get anything on it. But if this early, you're not gonna lose a race immediately to this. You just you lose time, and time can be made up. Like you have if you do this late, you either have you only have one boss left, and you're trying to check this. Just because as part of doing things before that, you could just last locationing, or at least trying to do a gamble doing this. So it's one of those checks where I like doing this early. I don't think is a detriment. It just gets you behind the 8 ball, but it's not going to kill your race.
Yeah, I like that line of reasoning. And then, of course, you're just hoping it hits. If we happen to see a purple robe, we know it is Mylon Z, because Mylon and Friends was over at Fabul, so and Bardic has done that already, I'm pretty sure. So he'll know if he sees that purple robe even before the boss appears that it is indeed a hit. We'll be looking for vanilla Baron guards here. Oh no, this is not vanilla, but this would be not the vanilla spot for Baron guards. But if you see those guards coming down, little repositioning of the airship, and now I think continuing the check. And looks like Lenophis is now diving hook. I didn't see everything in the shop there, but I think some purchases made. And so we're going to see the boss in the Kaipo win pretty soon. And we're also going to see who's in the ruby spot on Lenophis' side.
So I think coffins and hourglasses were in the shop. Certainly purchased a bunch of each, probably a half dozen at most. I hadn't made a count, but that's certainly worthwhile, especially the hourglasses. It's a sparkle, but I don't think we have anything that we need from that sparkle. None of our bosses are LST bosses, so that sparkle means no. That's unfortunate.
Yep, bad news for Bardic. Fun gamble to make, did not pay off this time. Looks like Bardic is probably going to planning to join Lenophis down the hook route. Lenophis taking the Staleman chest, and I don't know if he threw out any hourglasses, but it doesn't matter. Fight's over, everyone's up but Palom. Let's see if something valuable is to be had in this chest. It's another hourglass.
Well, if you spent an hourglass and gained an hourglass, that would be something, but I don't think that was on the table, and frankly, probably, it's at least if there was a reset made for any reason, that wasn't going to be a deal breaker. But that also means this free looting of all the other chests saw quite a bit of value. Some sorcerer robes. There's a lot of black belts too. At least everyone will have something to wear. That can be assured.
Yep, stylish, powerful, good gear to have. And our tracker's pointing out that Lenophis is diving hook, having skipped Baron in, which I'm pretty sure there was no value, because that was the package chased down by Panda. But did skip Pops, and that is where DKC is, so we'll have to, for Lenophis' sake, hopefully remember to go back and check that if he doesn't find the other bosses before then.
So I think that's a karate at this boss. Shouldn't be too bad, but it's not quite free because Cecil is not appearing in the seat. There is no paladin, so forget that idea. I think the surprise is who is at the King Queen Evelyn spot. That is probably the better question at the moment.
Yeah, if I was Lenophis, I would love to see those guards who are hourglassable and coffinable. I would love to see Bahamut, who doesn't really do any physical damage, which is the main strength of that King-Queen spot. So we're about to find out on that side, as Bardic is going to do some of these chests. And again, if Bardic does them all, he'll get himself a second Avenger, and we'll see if probably get thrown at something eventually.
I think the sequence of events Panda is going through, triggering the bluster, that killing off Sid, and now Porum is down, with Avenger Kane hitting Lamia, causing Lamia to charm, and kinda hoping Palom isn't going to kill the party, but survives that, fortunately.
He was staring down his his comrades, I was wondering if we're about to see a virus or a quake, but luckily the fight's over and an Artemis bow retrieved.
Artemis worthwhile, but kind of detrimental to our mages if they decide to use it. I mean, right now I don't think either runners have found a cursed ring, and even so, maybe hey, we need that boss.
We do. It's gonna hit kind of hard, but let's see how well the runners can get through this fight. We get over to the Ruby phase. I think they'll be mostly okay.
Yeah, but I don't think this team is strong enough to avoid doing all the elements in tow. So one of the kind of problematic issues with fighting the element. Well, never mind. A virus doing enough damage. You can't really use projectiles. Bow and arrow, spears for the boss for the most part, because the first 3 parts are resistant to all elements, including the wind element that I would call wind elemental here, because that's kind of what those tier weapons are, and that they slow down damage so that the early arrows weren't gonna matter much, unfortunately.
Nope, but through anyway, and right on to karate. And as you mentioned earlier, we don't have the shortcut with the Paladin on our team, Paladin Cecil, so damage will have to be done, but I don't think either team is going to be in any danger. And you also mentioned earlier, neither team has a curse ring, so I am wondering if there's any kind of long-term anchoring thoughts. You notice Bardic kept that Sid, and Lenophis did not, so there's maybe some options down the road. Sid of course, is going to be, if they can, I don't think they found a Dwarf Axe yet, but Sid's a pretty good anchor for the whole game with a Dwarf Axe, as long as you keep him under 1,500 hit points or so, and a curse ring, of course, makes all your problems go away.
I mean, well, Panda has a simple decision. I'm in the boat where even kind of Pelham, at least for the given party, is the makeshift anchor, and the unfortunate thing is you really hoping for a cursed ring. Pelham isn't the optimal solution, and not that it's and Pelham actually, at least in the party, will be the slowest character. So that's not quite the issue. But when we're going to dive into LST, I mean, we'll probably have to bring up the question again: have we found a cursed ring yet? And whether it's in a shop or as treasure, kind of probably we'll need to figure out that problem. And I think what might most likely happen will be sacrificing Edward, as I think whatever arrows Edward had, all consumed, unfortunately.
As our restreamer Oscar's posting in chat, please go ahead and give our runners a follow. They are putting on a show for us tonight, putting on a race. We have the Bardic Panda and Lenophis, Asuka on the restream, Ikir on the tracking. I am Microcorgs and Deathlike. It's been fun so far. So many bosses have been found. I guess when Bardic goes through, he'll get the elements, and that'll be what, 5 for him already, right? 4. Looks like 4.
Yeah, it's certainly will certainly be they'll certainly be even, I think. Wait, we haven't found the DKC. I think that's the only difference at the moment.
Yep.
I'm trying to at this moment. Oh, we probably just skipped at least one spot. So I think that was can't remember. It's already been half an hour, and I've already forgotten. Wait, where is DKC again?
DKC up in Hubs.
But eventually, I think we'll probably eventually visit there. Like it's just a matter of time.
I definitely hope so. But that is one of those spots, and a lot of us have been guilty of it. I've been guilty of it on boss hunts, just kind of forgetting about it if you don't get it early. So hopefully that is not the fate that will befall Lenophis. Lenophis is first underground, right around the 37-minute mark. I expect a little peek here of the top of tower boss, a little ice brand pickup in the chest, and an unneeded lunar sparkle guarding the top of the tower.
Yeah, it, it's always worth a peek. Top of tower. Usually, if it's an easy boss, might consider doing it, but no tower without even a tower key, not very tempting, probably. So, oftentimes when you have undesirable bosses in the top of this underground part of the tower, probably will fade. Probably do it later. Not and at least in this flag set, you will definitely see a lot more dwarf castle action, as there are two bosses there and worth looking into. But hey, Forge, because probably looking for a decent weapon for Kane outside of the Avenger that was picked up. Or maybe you can, there's a fair bit of items that are shared between even Sid and Kane, like the gigantic axe, which that should still be a decent weapon if it's on the table, but it's random.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see. First of all, the shop though, defense sword, or Same, crystal ring, another arty bow, I think. Our restream, we're not wishing for the most powerful weapons. There are a couple duds in the pool. The scrap metal, we'll see if we get that. But yeah, there's some big hits. Will we get that massively powerful Abel's Lance for Kane? Lenophis doing some shopping though and leaving us hanging. I can't wait to find out.
I would have probably picked up the weapon first before doing the shopping, just to make sure we're not buying a weapon we're probably going to end up darting if that shows up. But a Mirror's Aim, certainly worth it. I'm always worried about the agility loss from that. And hey, a weapon for a character that isn't in this seed.
Yeah, that's, I guess, just as good as scrap metal at this point. Maybe even worse because you can't dart it. Yep. Kind of a bummer of a hit there. Even if Rydia's in the party, sure, it's decent. It'll give her extra magic power and a decent offensive weapon, but it's never really the one you want to see, even if she's in the party.
Well, I mean, if you're Stardust Rod starved, then it's great. But then, yeah, you know what? The worst thing about Forge, the weapon, even if you don't want it, is worthless. You can't. It's sold for nothing. It's worthless beyond the character that can equip it. So, yeah, there's no free money for Forge.
Yeah, you figure it's one of this collection of super powerful weapons, and you figure you get something for it, but you go to sell it, and they just say, all right, we'll take it off your hands, but we're not giving you anything for it. But what you will get something for is the pan that Lenophis just picked up in the freebie and Feymarch, so that's always nice to grab that before you make your way down to Sylph Cave. So both runners will be able to no worse than double dip for Bull at this point.
I mean, the triple. Oh wow! What a pair! Neither required, but what a pair!
Lots of fun to be had.
Yeah, I see. This is immediate fade, but still, I think the shopping is probably just for the curse ring. Or Leno's party is essentially really dependent on that cursed ring. So and so far, haven't found a cursed ring, and sometimes they're just seeds where when you find a cursed ring, you get all the cursed rings, and then when you see where you don't find any cursed rings, there probably wasn't in the seed anyways.
Yeah, come on, it just takes one. But so far, Ronan's been shut out of that. Yeah, so if you were looking away from the screen when we reacted, that was Evil Wall over in the Leviathan spot and Odin in the Asura spot down in the Feymarch. Neither one required, neither one a lot of fun down there. Some folks in chat might be rooting for something valuable to be buried behind that evil wall, but it might make you just as evil as the wall itself.
It looks like Leno is looking for sirens. I don't remember if there was shopping done at Dwarf, but I think it's starting to look like there aren't sirens to be bought, at least so far. Or there's still the only area that is unchecked, and even though we got an early darkness, is literally the moon. So outside of the moon, there might not be sirens in this. So probably with an edge and Porm on hand, you know what? Let them steal all the sirens.
Yeah, Tracker pointing out, though, there are a couple of underground spots that maybe we haven't seen yet, so If the Sirens are on the moon and you weren't planning on going there, this is probably a good play just to steal a few. We'll see how far Lenophis goes with it. If it's going to be kind of a smaller grind, a small handful, or are we going for a big stack and a big old grind? The time will tell here. As Bardic Panda now about to engage the elements here, knock a boss off the list. And again, with Bardic having gone to Hobbs, you'll see that DKC lit up down on the tracker there. This will put Bardic 4, only 3 remaining for go mode.
I think for Leno, maybe I think you're just gonna steal enough Sirens to get maybe Porum to Cure 4. That's about like, I mean, this is kind of like a money saver technique to some degree. Sirens are, while not extraordinarily pricey, I mean, you still have to spend it, and that also means you have to do a lot more looting, and looting takes time. So it depends on the quality of the loot you get. That without saying, I think it's just, you know, when you have the money and you have, you just buy a stack of Sirens and forget about it. I think maybe this, you know, the money to be saved to like for the Berserkers buying Bacchus ones. That would probably, you know, eat into the amount of money you're going to spend on this type of thing.
But Lenophis wants out of that, so Kane jumps, destroys the Searcher, and let's see, any good loot to be found here. Ribbon, nice piece of defensive gear there, so kind of a bonus.
I think the unfortunate part is we're past a Golbus where the ribbon will be some use, but we have an evil wall if that might have a, you know, key item gating something very important like a Baron key or an Earth Crystal. You know, that ribbon, you know, you could just, as long as you survive the punchy phase, like the character ribbon is practically immortal.
And no, absolutely no problem at all, right? Surviving the punchy stage at the Leviathan spot down at Feymark.
Oh, that's the trick.
No sweat. Just kind of tense all the muscles in your body, and the wall just bounce off of you. I guess maybe pairing a Moonveil with that ribbon would kind of be a guaranteed win there, right?
Sure, but I think Leno still has Edward in the party, so you could just, you know, let everyone die and let Edward steal the show. That's what it comes down to. Still not with a spoon in hand though. So that might. So I mean, you can give him an Artemis bow plus whatever arrows and be sufficient. But it will still take some time because outside of when everyone's down, the wall decides to punch itself because there are no valid targets, and if it didn't have a valid target, there might be some issues that, you know, the game might, you know, get stuck figuring out what to do.
Gotta hit something.
Yeah. So, and technically go ahead.
We're speculating about this potential evil wall fight, but Lenophis obviously has something else on his mind as he is boarding the whale. So I wonder if those Sirens stolen. A little bit of a moon grind going to happen. Maybe we're going to see this moon dive now. What do you think?
Well, I think it's pretty I think these bought some hourglasses, so it's actually safe. Oh, safe enough. You have hourglasses. You have enough Sirens. You can do. You get more value grinding on the moon in the sense that the gold dragons, you know, the King Ryu, the pair of King Ryu's, the second or third floor of Cave Value, they give quite a bit of money. So basically, if there's another set of Sirens or Bacchus wine or whatever money that needs to be spent, you basically get a return on your investment and then some. So for when you do this grind, it's actually worthwhile in terms of money. Yeah,
definitely cash to be had. The Bardic Panda may be about 7 or 8 minutes behind getting underground compared to Lenophis, but is up that DKC check. And I'm thinking like there's a possibility that if Lenophis full dives the moon here, doesn't turn up all the required bosses and maybe gets led astray, that DKC up on Hobbs may yet play a role here in deciding the lead in this one. We'll see where Bardic goes next. And I'm concerned about this Sylph dive because of what we found in the Feymarch earlier.
Yeah, I think, Panda's definitely doing the pan check. Although, wait, didn't do check Feymarch, which has the pan.
Yep.
So there will be an unfortunate double dip here. So I think I was gonna speak a little bit about the evil. One of the things that's funny is that it punches itself, and the thing about it is I think the only reason why it does that is because the spell it casts is just a move itself, so it's an animation change, but that also allows the punch to target itself. It's like it's already a valid target, so why don't you punch yourself? And it does so, and it's one of the more amusing effects of having Edward, or sometimes a Kane. Although I think it happens only just on Edward when he hides. Kane, I think I'm trying to remember if he punches himself. Probably does.
Yeah, I guess if a turn happens while Kane's up there, but obviously so much easier to do with an Eddie hide.
That was a quick shop. I just missed what was in the Tomra shop that Panda just went through. It probably didn't have anything. It's shopping. Sometimes you want to limit your shopping because that's time spent for things that you may or may not acquire. But oftentimes shopping in the underground, especially for the tier 5 items like sirens, hourglasses, Bacchus wines. These are what are pretty critical for any eraser to acquire. There's just so much value in it, and this kind of, and although pretty pricey when you buy a bunch of them, like a half dozen or so.
Yeah, for sure. Bardic getting the bad news. What a nice Misty Whip for someone who can't use it, not available, or the person who can use it not available in the seed. And the Cid stares down the Kokol for an extra second, saying, "Come on, couldn't you have given me something? I would have taken what's that edge thing? This sunrise boomerang?"
I don't think it's sunrise. It's something like that. Full moon, sunrise, something like that. It's kind of the same. I think it's one of the same weapon that it's used in Final Fantasy V. But it's certainly, and that weapon is pretty good. But there's just a boatload of weapons. I think now, but yeah. Edge has, I think, a pair of Murzames or Murzame or Murzame. Either way, Edge is ready to go for Rizzi. Not so sure about everything about I don't think Panda has bought a defense sword, and I'm not even sure what weapon Kane has. But the Avenger will still carry the day, so probably not a big deal when you have one of the stronger weapons available at Kane's disposal.
Yeah, both runners found a Gungnir in the chests in Eblin. I'm not sure if they're using it, if they're just going straight up Avenger, and I'm not sure if there's anything better found other than the Avenger. We can see Lenophis making progress on the grind. This is at least the second fight with the King Ryus, earning that experience, earning the cash you mentioned, and using the hourglasses to make sure the party stays upright. We'll see how far Lenophis decides to take it, and then what Lenophis does with all these levels. We'll see. I think you predicted perhaps going to Cure 4 with Porum. We'll see if that's the goal here.
Well, spending all that money, Panda now has to find a way to buy at least probably a 10th set of 10 of and selling elixirs. There's only a few things that are not worth selling, and it's kind of straight. It's hard coded. Ether 1s, Ether 2s, and elixirs. While you can buy them at their extraordinary prices, selling them, they don't sell for much. And vanilla.
Yeah, was it? I missed it. Was it a little doll popping up there?
Yes.
There they all are. We got Calbrena, Vanilla Calbrena here at Dwarf Castle. Not required. I don't think we know who's in the second spot yet because we could have peeked that at Zot, but we do not have the Earth Crystal yet. So we'll see. We'll see if Dwarf pays off in the second spot, and we'll see if the Warp Glitch gets used on this flag set, allowing Bardic to peek at the item secured in the Sealed Cave.
I I think warp is should be learned. It's around like level 29 or so, so it's beyond Quake. I think Palam's around right level, but we'll see. Shouldn't be a problem to use warp glitch. Warp glitch being only in the Blue Moon flag set, not enabled in the Red Moon. So that's one of the differences in terms of flag set differences.
Dolls dismissed. Let's see what sprite appears up there on the crystal altar. It is King Queen Eblin, quite an easy boss, and unfortunately not required. So Bardic Panda hoping one of the key items found is going to pay off. The bosses unfortunately do not.
Yeah, I mean this, given with the warp glitch on, basically Dwarf Castle is lucrative. You get two bosses, which back to back, which can make this more difficult, especially given the Calbrenna spot is actually stronger than it actually looks, because it's based off of the big doll. So and effectively two key items, one from the glitch and one from the natural completion of the event. So, and right now, while we have the Darkness Crystal early on, there's still gating key items that are critical. Pretty much a lot of the keys, but the most important ones atop of the list tends to be Baron Key, Earth Crystal, Luca Key to a lesser extent, Harp, Tower Key. You know, those are gating at least a boss. So those are something that is worth looking at when it comes to routing and considering what key item you want to pursue. Like given key items that you have not checked in.
Yeah, definitely result in some decision making. And key item 1 from the dwarf check is just a white shirt. And there is Palom exactly at level 29, which is when he gets warp. So let's head over and see what's in Sealed Cave without needing the Luca key. Oh, there's one of the ones you mentioned. That's pretty good.
So we still have a boss to check at the Sealed Cave, but probably not as not as exciting. So probably the next route would be, I think, Fey March for Bardic Panda, or the tower with a sparkle on the top of tower. Probably not as interesting. So maybe Fey March will be the first to end. Look where he goes to.
Yeah, you called it. Let's see if Bardic Panda does like a little dance of frustration when he sees the pan, because I think he has already set up Sheila 1, but did not follow through yet on the Sheila 1. So we'll have to go back down there, give Yang a gentle bop on the head with the pan to enable a second key item check at Sheila.
Yeah, that has the capacity of giving you up to three key items. So there's always a value, especially getting not perfectly close, but close enough. Right now, 7 key items. Just picking up the pan. So if all of them turn up to be key items, that will get the the key item, the magical key number of 10 to allow for double XP. And that means doing half as much of a grind as Leno is doing, it without the 10 key items.
Yeah, it looks like Leno's returned to the Earth with the newfound power granted by that series of grind fights. We saw Bardic get that pan, and using the tent, it's going to get the news that it is Evil Wall and Odin down in Fey March. Would be surprised if he attempted either one. I expect a quick exit out, back down to Sylph Cave, see if my prediction is as accurate as yours just was.
It's kind of, I mean, this is interesting. I mean, Leno's head got a grind, so right now a lot of time will be saved from beating up whatever Leno is facing. Probably not quite at nuke levels for Palom, but just enough for a lot of the other characters to make the most of it. Although with the Edward with the spoonless Edward in hand. That kind of is an interesting choice. So we'll see how that continues. Panda was going to go for the pan. I mean, there's what else to do if you didn't do a grind yet. So Fey March not looking not looking like a good option. Probably will actually follow up doing tower before leaving the underground.
Yeah, there's a good chance that might happen. And there's a chance. It looks like Bardic Panda is at 7 key items. There's a chance that if you go 3 for 3 on this Pan Bonk and the 2 Sheila checks, that would put him at 10. Let's see if he is so lucky this evening. Not yet morning.
Can be morning in other regions, not in the US. So, but it's morning, good mood, morning, good afternoon, good evening, and no, that's useful, but not what Panda's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there's your free evil wall. If you're so inclined, combine that with the ribbon. But once again, your prediction's right. Panda landing at the tower key in hand. Would you? I'm assuming we're going to get a full tower check. Is there any universe that you would just do the half tower with your tower key, especially if you end up hitting a boss there?
Well, given what we know, it might. What the party has, if you're not interested at the top of tower, just fading that part, then it could be something worth a gamble. Like that, they're assuming that boss is not getting a key item that would unlock another boss. So that would be the only thing. Basically, you feel you're behind, so you might as well fade it. That would be the only reason to do it. Otherwise, it's. I'm in the business of full clearing everything as much as possible. And hey, this is pretty free, except someone will go down for it. This is a wipe.
I think, yeah, this is unfortunately the one Lunar Sparkle you wouldn't want to see here, because Ogo does the double wave. There go half your hit point total, and all the characters are under that half threshold. So I believe there was a save at the base of tower before that. At least I hope there was. Looks like. Was this right? Was this after the pan check is my question. Or was this before the initial Sheila 1?
Well, they'll probably have to check for the item in the inventory. It's just the Moon Veil. So if it's still not there, then that might be a problem. Because you do want to find out the kind of the results of Sheila 1 and 2. So yep, not doing the bonk is time consumed, time kind of wasted by not doing it. So Leno is doing the pen check, so it makes sense. With the tower key in hand, we'll probably route that in as well. I don't think Leno is tempted to do the Fey March bosses. I mean, there's still bosses to be had, and but I think given the key item distribution, we're in no mode. We know, well, not no mode, but we as the view, knowing everything that's going on, probably Leno should probably do Fey March. This is like one thing. I mean, and it's a popular thing to Fey March, but this is kind of one of those situations. Given like number of bosses, number of key items gating, you probably want to do those bosses.
Yeah, I could also see the other argument. I mean, the moon is open, and I'm looking at the key items still out there. We have Earth Crystal, Baron, and Harp as and Luca Key as the ones that are gating boss locations for us. Leno doesn't have the package yet, but Bardic does. That was granted by the Baron in check, and Bardic did follow up on it, so there is no required boss at the package. So yeah, we'll see what Leno does. Just shows those bosses down there are just so unappealing, though. Eddie can make both those bosses, fairly doable with the hide strats against both Evil Wall and Odin potentially. Though there is a Thunderclaw, and we do have an edge, so you probably don't need that for the Odin.
Almost forgot this, but Oscar rolled the seed. So I mean, those are both bosses where Eddie gets to actually shine. Surprisingly, yeah. So thanks, Zach. For holding this seed. I mean, this is the Eddie spotlight, right? And this is the dream.
Yeah, two bosses with any potential gating key items that lead to the required bosses would be apropos. We'll see if that ends up happening.
And the count, but it doesn't actually count the plague on the top of tower. Pretty kind of, well, easy, but not easy, where you have to understand part of the mechanics. So right now, Panda will find out quickly that Quake does nothing for things that actually are weak to arrows, and yes, I know the floating is really just a visual, but plagues are actually floating, so not something that Quake Kid could take on. It's Virus Kid, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep. Can't use that main one, and Bardic realizes that right away, switching to Virus. We'll see with the anchoring situation if and the Berserks going up, if the characters are going to survive being at the 0-0 count, or if they're going to start dropping. Oh, there goes Porm dropping. See if we can get Porm back up, reset that count. Sid down.
The normal trick for this is to just have enough Berserkers, even if they don't really do damage, just to clog up the queue so that the characters don't die, but the character's dying, and I just missed it. I think it's like the pass. Is that the
from the tower key?
I believe so. The Leno completely faded the top of tower. So, and it's...
Yeah, so the Sid's helper engineer handed our party a little rolled up piece of paper, and they unrolled it. When they unrolled it, it said, "You can get underground now," because that was the magma key.
Yay!
Yep, terrific. But well, at least Sheila can't give you the magma key.
So Panda picked up an Earth Crystal, so the Party Crystal, I don't think there's much incentive to raid that treasury, this seed, but we'll see. And hey, did you want another Avenger?
There was a time when I was concerned that Lenophis would not, or that both runners would not find Avengers, but they're apparently everywhere. But I missed it. You said that was Earth Crystal from the Plague? That could be pretty big here.
Yeah, that's 2 characters, and I don't remember what the key item was. Pinktail. It's Pinktail from Sheila 1, so that is not of any particular value. Leno's already done the grind, so the X even if getting a 10 keys, probably not that useful. Pinktail, I guess maybe no. Well, I guess find out what's on the Pinktail, but it's certainly not a key item. Hoping for something useful for a character. Well, it's a Moonveil.
Moonveils and Avengers. That's what we got in the seed.
Yeah, this seed is giving. So right now, I think from Leno's point of view, it's probably time to go to the moon or do. I mean, there isn't much on the table. Oh, now remembering, hey, I have checks I didn't make. Might as well go and do them. So right now, starting at Mist Cave, we'll probably also route in Watery Pass and then Mount Hobbs, hoping to remember them all.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that'll be a nice find for Lenophis, assuming he goes to Hobbs and sees that DKC. And I'm also happy that Bardic Panda realized that reset cost the Pan Bonk, and he didn't go to Sheila before that. So we'll be able to take care of all the Pan related checks now. And I think our tracker pointing out that Bardic will be at 10 key items following that.
So I think, not looking at Leno's kind of pathing, the routing, Leno has really faded every major check. Given the hook early, just like decided, I'll loot Castle Evelyn, do Mount Ordeals because Mount Ordeals for the character and the bosses, and then fade everything else for the most part. I mean, Fabul, I think was the exception, but that allows for some bosses, or like say Fabul Gauntlet, the alt gauntlet at certain locations, taking time. You don't have to when you get the hook immediately, you don't have to do all of them early. You can do them later. It's not like you're gonna save that much time. Doing it early, doing it late. Sometimes doing it later gives you back a little bit more, saves a little bit of time from your opponent. So I think that
I would say Lenophis's Mom Bomb fight, I think, just proved that point. I think that was much quicker than Bardic's.
Yeah, so that's where the value is coming from, and it's a legitimate way of routing. It's like you don't have to, but given that you're handed the hook, why not speed it up? Don't bother. Let's go. So it's certainly a plan, and I don't disagree with the idea. It's not like not really losing time. You're gaining back the time and then some indirectly. So it looks like Leno probably may have forgotten there's other things unchecked. So
yeah, I was just about to say, I like your reasoning there with the stronger fight, which was just proven. But the danger is, are you going to forget any of those checks that you skipped? And right now, Leno has still not checked Hobbs, which has our DKC. Bardic now raising the whale. So, if 3 of the required bosses are found on the moon, that is going to put Bardic in go mode once he gets through them. But we'll see. We'll see what Lenophis shows us first. Looks like he'll be the first to dive the LST.
So we're kind of at the point, this LST dive. Both are likely to do their. Panda will certainly peak K value first, but Panda has picked up, I think, the 10th key item. So part of Panda's routing will most likely include a much faster grind than what Lenophis. Like Panda hasn't done a grind, so but this will kind of catch Panda up in terms of power once deciding, peaking and finding Dr. Luge, Dr. Luck, Dr. Dialogue. He's so many names because talks quite a bit and slowing the battle down. So we'll get a chance to just decide to do some grind, to do the grind right then and there, most likely.
Yeah, and Bardic was able to buy sirens rather than steal them, so a little bit of a time save there as well. We'll see if that can kind of compound into the advantage for Bardic. Bardic's heading up to the moon.
So, given the boss situation in terms of Leno's boss kill count, kind of has to actually deal with the boss and hope for the key items to kind of to kind of appear. And the only issue with that is right now that Panda's essentially Earth Crystal ahead from doing top of tower, and that's probably going to be the only thing on the table missing, and may influence Leno's decision. Like not having the Earth Crystal may influence Leno's decision making at some point, given giving routing and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this is just a grind and then back to Zot for Bardic, or if it's going to be a full moon clear first, because that is, it's kind of a juicy key item on a boss hunt. Zot 1, the first fight in Zot, you can get it any time, but most runners choose to wait till they have the Earth Crystal both spots. So I want to see what Bardic's going to do. We'll get the little boss peek of the good doctor, and I think it's going to be Siren time. We got 11 in the inventory. We'll see how many it takes for Bardic to feel comfortable with the rest of the seed, or as far as he wants to go now to start clearing some moon spots.
They're both in the same boat. Sometimes it makes the giant becoming interesting. It's actually in terms of routing, like if you do a full LST clear, do K value, then you do giant immediately. You get 2 bosses, and given both will probably have done a grind, will not need to do a D-Machine grind. Probably not going to happen anyways, since Tella is not in the party. So, grind not considered, mostly just be peaking, what's a Giant 1. Might even have to do Giant 1, regardless of how, painful it could be. Like if it's like a CPU or a D-Mist. Those would definitely make the journey really uncomfortable.
What's in my head right now, though, is kind of the opposite of that. I'm looking at the 2 bosses that neither runner has found on the right side of the tracker, and those are both free. We have the Baron Guards and Bahamut, and what if those bosses have been waiting on the giant view all this time? Those are basically doable as soon as you have hourglasses or coffins and some damage to get through Bahamut. So that could still be waiting for our runners up there, and both runners, I think at this point, if they went there and found them, would feel behind, wondering if their opponent had done that earlier, gotten the experience, gotten those bosses taken care of. So just speculating, but it's possible. But here we go with Lenophis, Crystal Sword, Altar, looking for either the Alt Gauntlet, Pylon Z, the Guards, or Bahamut, and that's a big old turtle.
I would almost consider resetting out of this, and that the Palm being taken out is probably actually a good reason to set out, because I think Wyvern, the Wyvern spot does have a decent bit of HP. It's probably like maybe a little bit above Plague, but not by much. Don't think that, even though that went off, I don't think that's fast enough. That wave is still coming, and Edward might take a nap.
Hey, what are we going to see? Low 1,000? Yeah, right around the 1,000 mark for that wave at this point. Looks like Lenophis is going to stick with it, and probably is going to get enough damage output here to be able to survive this. Luckily, Kane barely living through that punch. That first punch on Palom, that was over 2k. That was quite a shot.
Yeah, that's... and right now, the anchoring situation is not ideal. Again, we spoke about this party. No cursed ring has been found yet, so that is kind of what is making this a little chaotic and not ideal for runners. Probably Panda's in a slightly better situation, but Sid getting to agility levels that are undesirable, that can make it a little bit problematic. I think Sid is definitely slower than Palom, but he was kind of not on a gate, but more like usually you want your Sid at this point to take a nap. But Panda is using Sid like another character to a degree. Well, right now Panda for this grind is using him as the potion guy, so I guess that's it. I think both our runners were going to have a kind of a little chaotic situation in terms of going to the LST.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Lenophis in this turtle fight, I was going to say it was really good that Lenophis did the grind first, but at this point, this is going to be tricky. I think that Edge is berserked. And even if we get to the point where Kenatsu's in the shell, I'm wondering if we're doing enough damage to get through that phase.
I think we'll find out. The shell phase, the most devastating part of the shell phase is not the shell phase itself, it's the healing done during that sequence.
And here it comes.
There is actual defensive game. It's kind of like Val's spin, but the shell, but it's not as powerful as Val's spin phase. The shell phase really is dependent on how much HP the spot has, and the remedy. One of the key things is it's 10% of the max HP of that spot. So if this was on, like, say, Giant, it would be the Giant 1 spot. It's essentially like 6,500 HP, and that's quite a bit. So Leno's decided, no, this is not happening. And probably
I was wrong there. I thought the Edge was berserked. Turns out he wasn't, and he tried to get to pour him up, but even with the relatively low percentage of hit points that Kenatsu had left, that wave was just big enough to take out the white mage.
Yeah, wave is one of those. It's kind of like a boss spot check, really. Kenatsu, while not on the list of really tough bosses, but when on spots where it's fast and where there's a lot of HP, Kenatsu can become very devastating to a runner, and like oftentimes Kenatsu at the Rubicon spot has been known to be nasty and kind of memorable at the same time. So Kenatsu cannot, the turtle can never be taken lightly at these kinds of spots.
Yeah, like you said, either just purely high hit points or high hit points for your party at whatever phase of the game they happen to be up to. And yeah, you named one of the ones. If it's gating your underground, it's one of the harder bosses that is not on that restricted list and can be the gatekeeper to the underground. But instead, right now, it's the gatekeeper to whatever is behind the Crystal Sword altar. Much stabler fight. Well done here by Lenophis this time around. We're in the shell. All party members up. I expect Lenophis will get through this, and we'll see if there's a reward. And it looks like Bardic reset out of the Octomom there at Morisame altar, which is good news for Bardic, because if I recall, was that just a light sword prize? Yeah.
Yeah, was not worth anything, and I mean, it's a good dart, but not something worth sticking around for. So it's fortunate for Panda, definitely won't bite him. So that's right now the issue is trying to get the DPS, and oh, there it is, just enough, and we'll see what the key item is. Hey, now we can do D machines. It's weak.
Yeah, you might maybe saying that half jokingly, but I'm wondering if they end up at the giant in a tough spot, if they might take a couple. But that was just a little bit of a power spike, keeping that Edward around. Here comes the spoon. Edward is now wielding one of the strongest weapons in the game. He's not the toughest of fellows, but now he's going to be doing some damage.
You know, this is an Asuka seed where I've seen like this. At this point, if I were running this, Edward would probably not still be in this party. So right now, Leno is the beneficiary of having another Berserker online. So you have 3 legitimate Berserkers plus the mages. I mean, this effectively Leno's party is much stronger than Bardic. Yeah, the nature of Edward being kind of a glass cannon, but for the purposes of these bosses, we'll still speed up kind of the progress of Leno's boss grinds effectively, much more than Panda.
Speed it up if you can keep him up right in the battlefield. But here is a required boss. It's the Baron guards. They are free. Here comes the coffin. Here comes a second coffin. These guards are going to be done in a matter of seconds, and we'll see if there's a useful key item behind it. But definitely, Lenophis happy to see required boss here, and we'll at least for the moment equalize 4 out of 7 bosses. But it looks like Bardic is heading down there as well. Looks like Bardic is basically face checking at this point, not wanting to take any of the non-required bosses.
So
That's kind of like a spoon.
Yeah, but this is the typical sell it because you sell it to let the scene know you are something like this. But hey, another boss. This is, they have I think the seed has decided to migrate all the bosses into the LST, and they can all live there happily until Spoon arrives. I think that's what this seed is telling us.
Yeah, I mean, we are one boss away from Bardic being in go mode. Again, with being up that DKC on Hobbs check, Bardic is going to have no problem getting through these guards, and then we'll see how he deals with the Mylon Z next door that Lenophis is currently fighting. So this is going to put Lenophis at 5. Bardic's going to be at 6 after the next 2 fights, and then we'll see what's down in the final lowest altar here in the LST, and if that indeed ends up being go mode for Bardic, or if there's more hunting to be done.
I think it's really unfortunate for Lenophis, just in the sense that not remembering Mount Hobbs, like that, something that you would normally consider because there would normally be a character there, but given the flag set, there is no character, so the incentive is less, and then inevitably sometimes you typically just forget it existed, that spot. Why go there? What is the value? And the value is the boss, and it just happens to be what Leno actually needs. So this is kind of not in Leno's favor in the sense that hoping if maybe the other boss is like in Giant 2, the follow up to doing all of this is probably going to do Giant. This is the most likely culprit. Trying to, there's a harp.
Yeah, or harp is one of those things that maybe late in the seed that you're not thinking is a primary check that you want to make, but assuming the final boss is not down at Masamune, maybe it's a spot that can bail out Lenophis. Because yeah, like you said, it would be a bummer. Lenophis is playing quite well, but it'd be a bummer if that one little missed opportunity on Hobbs would be the thing that would cost the race. But there's still a race to be had. Let's see. We don't have complete knowledge of where all the required bosses are yet. Lenophis is about to fill in some of that information, heading down to the Masamune altar. So who are we looking for? Well, we can have the very easy Bahamut or Deathlike. Who is the other required boss that we might find here? That would be lots of fun for all of us.
Alt Gauntlet, fun for everyone.
Let's all root for the mask. Will we see one of the most terrifying sprites in this entire game? We do not. That is also kind of terrifying to see here, and that is a quick reset. That is that's a lengthy fight down there at the Masamune altar.
This is a straight exit. From literally, that spot would be a slog, and I would see Panda might consider doing the same thing. I mean, who wants to fight that at that spot? No one does. So, I think it makes sense. So I think Leno is in the boat. Probably has to be in the boat where, say has to be ideally be nothing in the first spot and something in the second spot. Otherwise, Panda would be further ahead. So Leno would be best to hope to remember doing other checks on the Earth. So though most likely would check Harp as a follow-up to this than say Mount Hobbs, which he might have forgotten completely.
Yeah, it would be very exciting though if Leno did find one of those two up here and then suddenly remembered Hobbs, went there, found the DKC, and maybe by that point Bardic has found the 7th as well, and for a tight race as this one comes down to it. We'll see if I'm also wondering how much Bardic is thinking about the Earth Crystal, because Bardic got that from top of tower. Lenophis did not do top of tower. I wonder if there's any thought in the back of Bardic's head. There are 2 bosses up there. We don't know either one of them. Obviously committed to the moon at this point, but doesn't look like he's taking fights that aren't required bosses. So I'm wondering if there's any thought to do Earth before Giant for Panda.
I think it's a good question. I mean, Earth is a much easier check at this point. The only time what really makes the Giant check a slog. I mean, we already seen Demus, but this is the next worst thing to be on the list.
Oh no! As you were saying, slog. Those 3 full orb sprites appeared on the screen. I can't believe you did that, Deathlike. You summoned them by saying slog.
Well, there's always that moment where the boss influences your decision making, and there it is, reset out of Demist. It's one of those things where how about maybe next time? That's about there's a lot of checks, like early Fey March, where you see the Evil Wall and Odin. I mean, those are not spots you want to play with immediately. But this might be good. This could be a good thing for Leno in the sense that if whatever's behind this is, let's say Bahamut. I say Bahamut because Alt Gauntlet is just as long as it always is in most spots. It would be to Leno's favor if Panda decides to it does Giant but fades it after seeing what's at a Giant 1. The CPU is in a lot of seeds, if you want to race in terms of racing, CPU is just not fun. It's not enjoyable. So fading it is a very sensible thing at times until the moment it isn't. So right now Panda's looking for Harp, and I guess we're gonna get some music.
Let's see, is it going to be Harp first, or looks like maybe Zot first for the double boss? Yeah, routing-wise, typically you go Harp into Zot, but I think just because we're only looking for one more boss, I think Panda wants to kind of check the double first. We'll see if Harp enters. I wonder if this is going to be Zot, Giant, Harp because of the choice made.
Yeah, two bosses.
And
yeah.
This could be a big decision here because I was wondering, would he check this before Giant? So this could be the race. Of course, if it's a Bahamut or Gauntlet, he'll have no problem with them here, and we'll definitely have the advantage going forward.
So from chat, quick question: why are Gauntlet and Goblins always on the boss beat? That's literally the thing that's required on all seeds, effectively. So for Blue Moon, that is regardless of the 6 other bosses. Alt Gauntlet and Golbez are always on it. Well, on the Red Moon side, it technically doesn't have to be there, but the thing is, we're talking about like the math and how the weights of the bosses, they're practically always going to be there. Like we're talking about like 99% of the time. So that's one of the both moons, you're effectively always going to do both Golbez and Alt Gauntlet as part of the requirements. Now, while you don't have to actually complete it, but those are always going to be on the list of objectives.
I guess as far as the why, like why those 2 bosses, I guess because they're in quotes fun. The Alt Gauntlet is kind of a neat thing added where it just pulls the encounters from wherever you are locally in that fight, so it can be, as we were kind of rooting for, the really high-powered one down at Masamune, or you might be facing a whole bunch of tiny little critters in the Mist Cave, so that's kind of fun. And Golbez, always a fan favorite, the jovial fellow. So I think those are just kind of our two constant bosses in both flag sets.
Well, for the Zemus zone, Golbez is in vanilla the guy Zemus controls. So Golbez is always available to have a joke every so often. So Golbez probably never forgotten. Will always be around. Alt Gauntlet, everyone loves Alt Gauntlet, right?
All right, moment of truth here. Zot 1 did not pay off, was just the Kaipo guards, and here comes Zot 2 as Lenophis still struggling. All those hit points with CPU, which got out some globes and took out more than half the party. But no required boss on Zot 2, not the answer. So top of tower, not required unless, of course, this leads to a key item that leads to the boss. We'll see about that in a little bit, and we'll see how Lenophis does recovering in the CPU fight on the right.
Yeah, there is a thing when you help me see all these bosses. This is all a boss hunt, and there are different. There is kind of a major difference in how what bosses are being selected. The Blue Moon, pretty much every boss is on the table. So just like if it's any boss, it can be rolled. Red is a bit different. There's pretty much it's kind of I don't remember what the word is, but the way there are certain bosses that are in the pool, like we're like Azura, Mombom, Antline. Those the bosses that are not that they don't have the boss bid are completely out of that. So we're talking about Baron Guards, Dark Imps. Basically, those types of bosses are basically trivial bosses. Effectively, they're not in that pool for the most part. There's a few other bosses that would probably should be in the pool, but are not. I think D-Mist would be the particular one that you would think, why wouldn't D-Mist be in that pool? It's probably due in part who wants to do a D-Mist hunt when you're already fighting bosses? Because you in the Red Moon flag set, you have to actually fight D-Mist for a key item, and having it as a required boss probably not as enjoyable. So that's just probably a few caveats in the Red Moon, but for Blue Moon, all bosses are on the table.
Checking in here with Lenophis. A good job recovering, getting hit points back on the party, getting everyone up. Looks like we're gonna have some darts coming out. I was seeing Eddie doing swings of 3K, and there's a nice 5K dart. Hopefully they can get a blink going. So the strategy they're using is they're blinking the attacker orb, hoping that their attackers don't hit it, and Eddie is hitting it, but the blink's going to come up. preserve the attacker, because if both of the smaller orbs go down, then the Globe 199s start coming out, and they could have the potential to one-shot party members. And even worse in this location, then the little orbs come back, and the defender will start healing the CPU again. And this has, 65,000 hit points at this spot. And you can say, we're doing damage, but there's a big number to chew through.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why CPU at any location, at least high HP locations, are a real slog. Like CPU in its vanilla location, easy. Well, at least easier. Here, it's especially what you have to consider the HP of at this spot, which is while you see 4 elements, there are actually 2 physical bosses that are at the spot. So, and each physical boss can have effectively up to 65,000 HP. So, not exactly that number for the actual values of the spot, but it's kind of like a Z fight. So there's a lot of HP at this spot, and any boss at this spot typically has max HP for the most part.
But something more pleasant than all those hit points on the boss at this spot is a tune by Eddie, and we're about to get some music here, pulled from a pool of hundreds. I can't wait to hear what Eddie has for us tonight. Take it away, Eddie.
Enjoy.
Well, that was a great tune, Deathlike, and look what appeared on our screen simultaneously on the left, on the right, both of our final required bosses, and fortunately for Bardic, he kind of got the easier and quicker of the two, but Bardic now in go mode with the crystal.
Yeah, unfortunate, but how many people love talk about fading harp? Well, this is not the seed. Asuka rolled the seed. Asuka gets what she wanted. A perfect Bard seed. So I can totally make... And though Leno stumbles onto the Alt Gauntlet, which is ironically one of the perfect spots, but unfortunately, Harp... and missing the Mount Hob spot is doing him no favor. So right now, this Alt Gauntlet will hold up Leno quite a bit, and Panda will, not having the pass in hand, will take a stroll all the way down the LST.
Yeah, we'll see if there are any final decisions Panda is going to make about his party before attempting the final fight of the game and attempting to win the seed. Panda definitely in control now, though Lenophis does have a much more powerful party. The mages, I think, are fully powered up at this point. And if not, they will be there soon. I'm pretty sure. I saw white on Porum after that long CPU fight. But that even though there's more power on Leno's side, there may be time might be just too much to overcome at this point.
Yep. Did either runner check what was the shop on this moon at any point? I think probably might have been forgotten. Not that I don't think either runner needs anything, but yeah, this. But anyways, this trip to the from the LST is something like 5 minutes or something. It's long enough to think about how to plan the Z fight. Much as there's some events that have some decent delays. While this is not an event, but this delay gets you thinking, something to plan around for, and hope and make sure you have everything in order before fighting Z.
Yeah, for sure. I can think of times in races where I use these couple minutes to, where am I going to put party member? What gear did I pick up that maybe I forgot to put on? And I have it all perfectly laid out in my head. And then inevitably I forget some or all of it. So we'll see. I'm assuming we'll get a save down at the bottom of the LST before marching the complete way to find our final boss tonight. And we'll see if there's adjustments to be made, either equipment or party order. And then we'll see what kind of strategy Bardic Panda employs in that final fight.
I'm actually very curious to the agility value Sid has currently. Because given that that we've seen to this point, Sid has practically been up for the most part for Bardic Panda, and the question is Sid situated at the nice spot of about 14 agility? Usually you want to have a number kind of reasonably divisible by the base agility of Z. So I think Z's agility is 69, nice number, and you want to get something like multiples, even though not perfect multiples, that are usually thrown around when mentioned in passing. You want 14, 28, I think 42 is the next one. So for Sid's case, hoping that Sid is around agility 14 or below to make the battle not go too far ahead of him.
Yeah, Sid's around 14, right at the 2K mark, and I think the Bardic Panda Sid is probably a little above that, so it's probably creeping maybe into the high teens. But we do have these flags coming out in chat. Z's, I'm assuming for Zemus, we're just going to see the normal old boss here at the end, Deathlike, aren't we? Or something else going to happen?
Well, this is a randomizer. There's just so many things randomized. I mean, harp music is randomized. Sprites are randomized when the package goes off. I mean, so one of the things I like to do, for the purposes of the Z fight, is making Z look like something else. Z likes to cosplay. Z likes to wear hats. Z likes to do other things. But the question we always love asking is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
And as soon as Edge throws this crystal, unless Bardic has some other plans, nope, crystal throw coming out will reveal that final form. My preferences are known. I love those big sprites where the characters actually have to step on the final enemy to take swings. Let's see if we get a big one. Let's see if we get a small one. Is it a cute one? Is it one with a hat? Let's find out all these things.
Hoping FF5X Death, that would be a nice one. It's Deadpool. I'm sure Deadpool is watching a stream. Free Enterprise. That's what he's doing. Clearly,
that's what's on the laptop right there. Yeah, that makes sense. How you doing, D-Pulmus? Hope you're enjoying the show. Hope you enjoy getting your butt kicked by Bardic Panda. Big nuke going out on Edge, but surviving it. Kane swinging away. Berserk going out on that Edge, so it looks like we're going to have Berserker swinging. We'll see if Palom gets used at all.
Right now, Leno's doing the correct fight. Will stumble onto the Bahamut, so that will certainly help. But it's right now. This is certainly Panda's fight to lose. Going full Berserkers, although the only real risk is not nerfing the Big Bangs, and that's the only. With Palom not at nuke level, will kind of limit the speed of which Panda is finishing the fight.
Looks like, unless we're about to drink a Bacchus here, which maybe we are. Okay, I was wondering if Sid was going to be left unberserked to kind of be the stopgap, because like you're mentioning, both the kids have pretty low hit point totals. Your White Mage only at 1611, which is usually not something you're going to survive. I don't think she has any outstanding defensive gear. Maybe that Crystal Ring? I'm not sure where that ended up.
Well, certainly some character is going to benefit from it. I don't think we're going to replay the music right now because Panda's at the fight. But this should be too long. But still, I think Panda has to figure out a way to nerf the second part, and that will be something to do. Oh, Asuka, changing mind.
Yep, quick repeat of the music, but the boss there quickly dealt with. Lenophis now has their crystal, and will be joining Bardic in the fight. We'll see if Bardic makes his way through the fight before that time, though.
Edge might not actually survive the Big Bang following that nuke. So unless Porum gets her turn in, Edge's fate will be decided who gets their turn first, and Porum saving the day.
Yeah, luckily during the nuke phase, you do have that little extra turn there to hopefully get that cure off, and it did. 2066, though, is not automatically survivable. Let's see who lives. Edge does. Both the kids go down. Actually, Palom hangs on by just a little bit. We'll see if Palom's used to raise his sister, the White Mage, back up, as the damage is going out with the 3 Berserkers on the front row.
I think it looks like that was the refill with a kind of pregnant pause. That Big Bang was not nerfed, so the potential for the risk of death increases significantly, especially for the twins who don't quite have the HP to survive a straight Big Bang at all times. While you want to kind of hit the magic number of 2700 HP, Edge will be mostly fine, but Palom Porum kind of at Z's peril, as Big Bang unnerfed is very devastating.
Got the Cure 4 cured up with Porum. Let's see if she gets it off. She does, which is going to be great. Definitely Sid will be able to survive anything. We'll see how much falls on Kane and Edge. Kane should be relatively safe. But yep, Edge and the kids currently a little low, but we might be pushing into rocks pretty soon. I wonder if we're going to see another Big Bang. Oh, there it is.
I think that's also unnerfed. Palom might actually go down outright. Well, there's a prayer. Porum can still cure, so that should probably be more than enough. But rocks is still the rocks phase, trying to avoid that as quickly as possible, as that is the only actual the Big Bang in the rocks. There they are.
Yeah, perfectly cast Cure 4 there, right in between the Big Bang and the rocks. So I think this fight is secured. Just a few more swings, and Bardic is going to be able to secure this win. Let's see when that shake starts up.
Yeah, so, and there it is. Zemus goes down.
Yeah, our winner tonight, Bardic Panda, while waiting on official time. It's going to advance in the Zemus Zone 5 Blue Moon Waning pool. Lenophis had, I think, won a couple in the Waning pool already, so had a couple wins under his belt, but the win tonight goes to Bardic Panda. GG to Bardic Panda.
GG's to Bardic Panda. And Leno's setting up for the fight. Probably, I mean, there's still very doable, though I don't know the anchoring situation is, so probably have to look at Palom, see where the agility situation is. So probably, and certainly more than enough power to go through Z. Can be still risky when Z goes faster than expected.
Yeah, so nicely done by Bardic Panda. Between our 2 runners tonight, being a little bit more, thorough at the beginning, making sure all the checks came in, and it kind of paid off because that DKC up on Hobbs helped Bardic avoid the giant completely, which was ultimately, I think, the time sink at the end that Lenophis got through well, but so much time in the CPU fight and the alt gauntlet up on the giant takes a bit of time as well. So GG from Bardic. We're not going to be hearing from Bardic in an interview tonight. We'll see how Lenophis does in their Z fight. Very strong party. I don't anticipate problems here. Do you, Deathlike?
No, but there's I have like, there's always been fights where Z fight is probably one of the few fights where you just, even with a well kitted out party, things can go wrong pretty quickly at any point. So, still, although with all these levels, this is pretty comfortable usually.
Yeah, big. Got some extra experience up in the giant. Having to go through the orbs, and of course the big experience coming through with the alt gauntlet. There, let's see, what are we looking at? Kane with 3,600, Porum with 2,200 compared to the 1,600 on Bardic's Porum that we saw a little while ago. So there's just your level differential, representing the time spent.
Effectively doing a second grind with alt gauntlet.
Yeah.
That's probably not what Leno was looking for.
Yep.
I mean, they're just bosses. I mean, you see Demus. I mean, if Demus was there, that would just as terrible. Demus being at Ogo, but CPU just as terrible, and definitely, when you're prepared for it, there are just some bosses that will be nuisances, and you just can't make it go fast enough. It's just those, and you always hope when you see like a CPU or Demus at a much earlier spot, you are kind of breathing a sigh of relief, and fortunately that was not the case.
Yeah, when you get deep into these seeds and you've done a grind, but the alt gauntlet is still looming out there, and most of the spots left are these high-powered spots, you always know it's possible that you're going to end up over-leveled, which is what happened to Lenophis. But that's fine, barring anything out of the ordinary here. Like you said, the Z fight can turn on you, even with the strong party. If you make a misinput, I think we've probably all been there. You feel secure, maybe you tap the wrong button, target the wrong person, and then suddenly things go sideways. But I see a lot of damage going out on Lenophis' side. Some darts, some Eddie swinging the spoon, doing over 3.5k damage.
This is the alternative burr in the seed, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Unfortunately, the Crystal Sword, no Seesaw. That's okay. That's fine. Eddie will do his best impression of Seesaw. That's his job.
And Edge very happy to be reaching into Lenophis' backpack over and over again. All these nice high-powered darts. I think we've got a white spear queued up. So Eddie with the spoon go burr. Is that like when you're eating ice cream and you get an ice cream headache? Is that kind of like burr? That kind of burr?
Sometimes, brain freeze. It happens. No, but burr in this instance is kind of short form for berserk, as when berserkers get berserked, they do work. That's just, and it goes pretty quickly. So,
and on top of all that, we're seeing these close to 10k nukes coming out from the Palom in the middle.
Those, when you get to Nuke Kid, it's beautiful when you can do Nuke. And Rock Space, Palom might take a nap. And Palom does take a nap. That's fine. But Eddie at above normal levels that we see Eddie at, took it like a champ and not phased at all.
And that's it. Deep pull miss for the second time tonight. Shaking, crumbling, being destroyed by Lenophis' super strong party. So coming in second tonight, but GG to Lenophis. Thank you so much for both Bardic and Lenophis for putting on this show for us tonight. And that was definitely a quicker fight there. And I believe we're now joined by our runner-up tonight, Lenophis. Lenophis, GG, well done there in the final fight, getting through that pretty quickly. How are you feeling tonight?
What was that seed? What was that seed? I felt like the seed was garbage, and it was one breadcrumb to one breadcrumb, and every decision you made, you guessed wrong, because that's what the seed felt like.
Yeah, how did you feel when you saw that CPU at Giant? Because ultimately that did end up being a pretty good guess, because it did lead to a required boss behind it, but facing down that CPU in that spot, what were you thinking when you saw those orbs appear?
Well, that's a problem. Max HP orbs at elements, that's never a good time.
And did you have a set strategy in your head for that? I noticed you berserked up. You were trying the blinks, but it looked like your berserkers just kind of got ahead of your blinks at one point. And I think you had one bout of Globe 99s come out.
Well, I was trying to anticipate when that wall was going to drop, and I swear he never refreshed that wall at all. So I was trying to anticipate when that wall would drop so I could land a nuke. Nope, counter nuke on Palom. Okay, well that's an issue. And then the other orb dies, and we get some globes, and okay, so we gotta come back from this a little bit. That cost me a little bit of time. I felt like that some of my routing was just not that good. Double dip on Cognazzo at Crystal Sword Altar. I was actually contemplating resetting that, but then I got the spoon. I'm like, no, I want that soap web back, but I'll take the spoon. Okay, spoon word, you go. Go do things. and then I was clearing the rest of the moon, like, okay, well now I've got 10 key items, so the rest of these I'm just going to get free experience. There's the Baron Guards at White Spear Altar. Mylon Z at Ribbon Room, like, okay. Saw D-Mist at Ogopogo, like, nope. I don't care. I don't care what you got. I'm not touching you. I'm out of here. Get out of here with that.
Yeah, I was the route. Actually, I don't think the routing was bad. I think the part of the routing is the part where you forgot what to route on. Like, I think your plan was, if I'm not mistaken, your plan was to come back and do some of the spots, like, D-Mist, Watery Pass, whatever, the boss spots where, sometimes the bosses there are stronger than the spots would indicate and would consume time, and then just do it late, just come back after the underground, do it later, and get them cleaned up. I assume that was the plan?
That was kind of the plan, but I realized that when I went back down to the planet, I should have just stayed on the moon. Because when I saw the Fame March bosses, Evil Wall and Odin, like, okay, well, even if you grind up to Z levels, those are terrible to take out. 2 Sparkles inside tower, yeah, don't want to deal with that. Thankfully, it was just Ogopogo in the Super Cannon room. I don't even know what was on Luge's spot. I should have just stayed on the moon. I mean, that would have been a better play overall, even though there was only 2 bosses and, 1 key item up there? No, 2 key items up there, Package and Twin Heart. Sorry.
Yeah, the top of tower was Plague, so then it had an Earth Crystal, but had nothing, so that was fine. I think the one it's essentially the early checks that you fade. The biggest one being Mount Hobbs. Well, there's no character, but that was DKC, unfortunately.
Oh, that would have been a super free fight. I completely forgot about Hobbs because I was doing Fabul, Antlion. Yeah, I completely forgot about Hobbs entirely.
We were speculating, like, if you were saving that, and we knew that the longer it went, unfortunately, there was a higher likelihood that maybe it wasn't just a simple fade, that it was just forgetting about it, which we, of course, we've all done. And yeah, that definitely would have tightened it up a little bit, because Bardic Panda was doing a lot of the checks ahead of you, but you definitely had the levels, and you were making up time with a lot of your fights. You had a significantly stronger party, and just unfortunately you ran into that fight on the giant, which even the strongest party is just going to take a long time to get through.
Yep, even a Crystal Sword Cecil would have had issues with that fight. Speaking of Crystal Sword, never a dull.
Yeah, you found it. I don't think you even got a chance to sell it. It was just kind of sitting there in your inventory. Maybe Edge tried to pick it up to dart it, but it was just too big. He did have plenty of other darts for your final fight, though.
Yeah, I just tried to do hybrid strats as much as possible. I don't know if Z did second phase or not. I'm guessing he would have, just because of how much physical damage I was doing with the Berserkers.
I think he did. I mean, typically in the hybrid strats, you'd have to try to get the kind of the nuke and white reflected perfectly on, and then the next thing would probably be the kill shot, and those are time that kind of requires some luck and some timing to make that work. And I think your setup great, but probably I don't think you got to reflect white at all though. So
I never went for it because I was just trying to berserk up, because they had the one Bacchus wine. I used that during the Cognazzo fight. I had one soap web, used that during the Cognazzo fight. So I just utilize my resources as much as I could and just berserk up with Borum. I'm
So,
just glad.
with,
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I was just going to
You
say,
got
with this kind of a team layout, I'm glad we had a white mage this seed. Just imagine having this kind of layout and no white mage.
Yeah, I'm not sure if every shop was checked. I'm not sure. Did you happen to find Bacchus?
I did not. No, I didn't scout them.
I don't think either of you checked the moon shop, so maybe they were waiting there. I think we might have seen all the other ones. But with this race, I believe that is your final spot here in the ZZ5 Blue Moon. I noticed you had won a couple of your Waning bracket matches, so I was just wondering what your overall thoughts were about your experience here in the ZZ5 tournament this year.
Well, just like Adamant Cup, I had a lot of fun. Went 2-3 during Adamant Cup. I'm going to go 2-2 here in Blue Moon. And yeah, I mean, these have always been a lot of fun. I always do free enterprise on the side. Look forward to the next tournament, whatever it is.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, so I hope you had a lot of fun. I mean, that was certainly an exciting race. Outside of that missed opportunity. So yep.
One of these days, a race is going to line up, and I'm going to be able to either restream it, track it, or call it. One of these days. Today's not that day. My work schedule doesn't really allow it.
Yeah, that would absolutely be
again.
great to have you there. Yeah, and GG to you. Thank you so much for putting on the show tonight.
GG's to you too. Thanks for calling this, and who's on tracking tonight? Oh, Ikir, thanks for tracking. And Asuka for restreaming. Or is it the other way around? I never.
No, you had it right.
Yep.
Okay.
She rolled this wonderfully Bard influence seed.
Well, it was either that or Yang or Sid, and I'd rather have semi-consistent offense with the Bard. That's not something you'd expect to hear ever. That's not something.
No, he did some good work for you for sure.
That's not something.
No, he did some good work for you for sure.
That's not something.
No, he did some good work for you for sure.
All right, I'll let you guys wrap this up. GG's, thanks again.
Thank you. Have a great night. Well, that was a lot of fun, Deathlike. We saw the two runners take some different paths, some different decisions about when to grind, where to grind, and where they found some of their final bosses. So our race is over, but the night of Free Enterprise is not over. You want to tell folks where we're going next?
Certainly, we are moving you all to Free Enterprise 3, where Commander Leonhardt is playing in Slippery. I think a Blue Moon match. Not sure, Waning or Wax